They have power to them. And with all this culture, blackness, and consciousness we have today, don't you know a great part of me still miss being as a child growing up in that Christian church. Because the spirit was high. They really got into their worship. And when they sing to your soul. They didn't do it for, as they say, form of fashion or the showboat or to look glamorous. They sang for God. And when they did it, everybody, from the youngest of the child or children to the eldest of the person in the building, felt the music. We knew the lyrics. The lyrics spoke to our souls. Today, I mean, we're getting flashy. But spiritually, we're becoming distant from the Creator. And everybody talk about the church, and don't get me wrong, I'm not fully behind a lot of stuff that's being taught, but back in the day, they really worship.
Yes, sir.
And they brought that African-centered belief with them. When they shouted, they shouted. When they, as they say, got the ghost, they were in another realm. Just like when you see films of brothers and sisters in Africa and they get into the spirit and they're gone, that's how they were back in the day. So brothers and sisters, we thank the Most High for, and we're going to touch on it tonight, Sankofa taking us back. We always need to go back. But tonight we want to talk about our religion. And the title of our topic for today's message is, Your Religion is Your Tool. That's what it is. Your religion is your tool. The thing we have to understand about African religion, in these four pictures, African religion reveals to us that as above, so below. This picture of Nut and Gad, the ancient Kemetic deities, represents Nut as the sky and Gad as the earth, as above, so below. Then we have the African symbol that means accept God. The word is Ganyami. As above, so below. Then we have the Kabbalah tree of life. Most of us are only familiar with this portion up, and then you have the stem and a seraph here, an emanation or a light. We're not used to seeing these two, because what you're looking at now is the tree above and the tree below. Then you have the ancient Kemetic pyramids, which became the Star of David and later the Seal of Solomon. And again, as above, so below. So your religion is a tool to connect you to the above and the below. In other words, there is no separation as in Christianity, that there is a life here and an afterlife there. These lives are actually connected. The physical and the spiritual are really one. But how do we use this tool? And how is religion a tool to you? That's what we want to find out tonight. So let's go forward, brothers and sisters, and let's look at the word tool. All right? Let's look at the definition here. Tool, an instrument, a device, or a method. Equipment, utensil. And I underline that last one because I love it. A tool is a weapon. Your religion is your tool to life. It is an instrument that you must use not on your Sabbath, your day of worship, but an instrument you have to use every day. It is your equipment. You must equip yourself with your religious belief and your religious practices. It is a utensil, and you know what a utensil is used for, anything from building to feeding yourself. So as a part of you in your everyday activity, but your religion as a tool is also a weapon. In other words, your religious belief, your religion should somehow in some way defend you. If your religion cannot defend you physically, mentally, spiritually, socially, and economically, then your religion is a failed tool. That means it's broke. Anybody ever broke a tool before?
Yes, sir.
Pliers or wrench or something? What do you do with it? You toss it. Because it's no longer any good, because it's ineffective in doing the job. We have been given an ineffective tool, religion. This is why the European had to take away your original religious belief and place it with one that does not work. Because without the tool, you can't get the job done. Let's go on, brothers and sisters, and let's read, and my brothers say cool as I always do. Let's read from James chapter 2, and I believe verse 17. Okay, right there. James 2:17.
Even so, faith, if it has no works, is dead, being by itself.
All right, so James said faith without works is what?
Dead.
Dead. Faith is what you believe. What you believe in is your faith. All right? And when you practice that belief or practice your faith, that is called your religion. All right? Let's get an understanding. So if your religion has no works to it, that's a dead tool. What good is that tool? Remember now, the tool is an instrument, a utensil, a method, right? The methodology of doing something, right, is also a weapon. But James is telling us right here, your faith, your belief, which is your religion, if it has no works, it's a dead tool. So the European gave us a religion that has no work to it. He replaced our true spiritual thoughts with his corrupt philosophies. Y'all know it was Greek philosophies that got behind the holy writings and translated them using Greek mythology, Greek philosophy, meaning the white man's interpretation of things. That's what philosophy is. It is the Europeans' interpretation of what should be said, how it should sound, and how it should be written. So, brothers and sisters, as we begin tonight, remember, if your religion, which is a tool, is not working for you, it's dead. All right? Now, let's move on to the Metaneta, Volume 1, page 13.
The word is religion. The word religion is composed of the Latin prefix re, meaning again, back, plus legar, meaning tie, bind, fasten.
That's right.
As well as the Indo-European root leg, meaning to collect, from whence came the Greek legion and the Latin legere, meaning logic and legal.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Raun Nefer Amen, the brother who translated this book, the Metaneta, from the ancient Kemetic writings, he said religion is composed of these words: back, again, to bind, fasting, or tie. If the writer felt that the word religion was a bad word, would he have used it? The answer is no. So the brother understood the concept of religion. And the reason I'm bringing this up, because we have a lot of brothers and sisters that say, I don't follow religion. I'm just spiritual, or I have spirituality as my belief. Well, your spirituality is your concept of what you believe. Your religion is the practices of that concept. So what the brother is telling us is that this word religion, although it's a Latin word, it means to take you back to something again and tie you or bind you or fasten you to something of that which belongs to you. That's why religion is a powerful tool. And this is why the European had to replace your true religion with his Europeanized Western thoughts. Because your true religion takes you back and bind you to whom you are, to your ancestors, to your cultural ways, and to your spiritual practices. Y'all have seen slave movies enough to realize that when the Africans got here, the first thing they took from them was their God and their religion. and forbade them to practice any part of that belief that they held on before they got to this Western Hemisphere. And for the brothers out there who said we were already here, they even took that away from us, from those who were here. All right? So there's no argument that some came and some was here. But the truth is, he took all of our beliefs from us and placed it with one of his own. But the beautiful thing that I love in the Meta Netra, which he defined, in this Latinized word called religion, he breaks it down to legion, which means many, because in religion you have practices. All right? You have initiations, you have what? Rites, you have ceremonies, and you have rituals. He's telling you in your religion there are many things that go on. Religion is not just for sitting and listening to a minister. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But he takes it even deeper to the word logic and legal. Your religion is a tool because your religion is, first of all, supposed to make you think. Secondly, your religion is supposed to take you in your legal aspect of life. Not according to his law, but your divine law. See, we're no longer walking in divine law because we're too concerned about what? Obeying the white man laws. Don't you know in America, church and state is separate? Which means you can follow your religion legally. This is how Muhammad Ali beat the draft. When they came after him, he said, my religion does not allow me to go somewhere and kill a man for no reason. Therefore, it took 3 years now, but therefore, the Supreme Court had to overturn that conviction they wanted to place on him and said, this man has a right by religious law, legal law, because church and state is separate. This is why they don't want us to understand these things. And this is what Elijah Muhammad taught, and Noble Drew Ali taught, and many others, as well as my father, and what I'm teaching today, that through your religion, you are a free man and free woman. Isn't that what the Moors try to teach us today? But we don't want to turn to our true religious beliefs. We want to keep, for some reason, a connection with this European, this beast, and follow his ways. Let's go to our next clip. So let's look, brothers and sisters, again. Still on page 13 of the Meta Netra, we're continuing what we just read. Brother Sekou.
From this, we can conclude that the corners of the word religion applied it to those beliefs and practices aimed at tying people back to something with which they had originally been one and belong with by natural connectivity.
All right. From this, we conclude or understand, that's what he's saying, that the corners, who are the corners of this word? The Greeks and the Latins, right? They even understood that religion was what? Based on, beliefs and practices aimed at tying people back to something of which they originally belonged. If your religion cannot tie you back to your culture, that's a dead tool. It must be something that can connect you back to whom you are. From the beginning, to your mother, to your father, long before America. It should tie you back to your cultural belief, your spiritual belief, not these Western concepts we have adopted, but to whom we are as a people. We've been disconnected. Again, look here. It is a natural what? Connection. Meaning your religion should connect you to your natural self, naturally to where you belong. We know we're out of our nature. In our behavior, in our demeanor, in our speech, in our language, and everything. Why? Because we have Greek philosophy in our mind that has replaced the religion. So we're no longer practicing anything. In other words, we still love the white Jesus. And I opened up and I told you in the beginning, I watched the clip of John Henry Clark speaking about the whitewashing of Christianity. So if you follow Yahshua, whom the world called Jesus, it ought to be a black man and not a Caucasian. As long as we are under this white devil, we're working with a tool that will not work for us. Therefore, brothers and sisters, if your religion is dead, you are dead. Isn't that right? That's where we are as a people. I don't know about you, but I surf this thing called social media. I put all these missing children on, and I try to put positivity on, but no matter how much I search, I see all these videos of us fighting each other. And we love posting them. We make little nasty comments. Isn't that right? We mock each other. Why is our thinking like this? With all the so-called consciousness and culture and blackness that's circulating today, why are we still at the bottom of the bucket? Why is it that every race can excel and we're still docile? Why is it that every race push each other up? And like the crabs in the barrel, we're constantly pulling each other back down. Why do we do that? It's because we don't have a working tool. Because remember, religion is based on logic. So if your religion is dead, your thinking is dead. That's where the white man has us. Let's go to number 6, please. Read that for us, please, Brother Sekou.
League, legion, many, a collection, beliefs, past practices, rites, initiations, and rituals.
Ashe. Asante, brother. Most people would think that was leg. He pronounced it correctly. League, as in legion. Religion is a legion of many things. What are they? Initiations, rituals, and practices, rites, based on what? Past beliefs. Why is it that our religion is not working for us as a working tool? It's because we are afraid to really go back to the past. Why? What's in the past? Practices we don't want to involve ourselves in. Rites we don't want to go through. Initiations we don't want to enter. And rituals we don't want to work. Come on, brothers and sisters, let's be real. We can look at films of Africa all you want. But when you see brothers and sisters actually participating in those rituals, those rites, those initiations, how many of you actually say, I want to go there and do that? Be real with it. How many of us want to go into a trance? Come on, be real with it. When I was a child, people, as they say, got happy. When they got happy, that means they were filled with the Spirit, and they got what they call, in turn, the Holy Ghost. We could not laugh. Grown people outside of your parents will smack you across the mouth if you laugh at something so sacred. Today we mock it, young and old. There is no sacredness in our religion anymore. Why? Because we're no longer connected to our past. And since we're not connected to our past, our beliefs really mean nothing to us. They don't. We're just talking black right now. Y'all know we are. Because if we really believe in what we believed in, meaning if we believed it and respect our religions and the tools of those religions, we would be far advanced than where we are today. We would be supportive of one another. We would be economically strong. We would stop trying to integrate with white folks and pull together to build our own nation if we really believed it. So today what I'm saying is we don't really believe. Not us, the SUA. I'm talking about us as a people. We don't believe everything we say. We just do a lot of mouth service today. Let's go to number 7. And talk is, as they say back in the day, talk is cheap. Meaning it has no value to it. Isn't that right? So here we have the word Sankofa. Religion is to take you back. If the white man gave us religion, which he didn't, he only understood a concept, in a practice which we were doing, and he understood that that word in the Latin connects to this word because Sankofa means sand, to return, ko, to go, fa, to fetch, seek, take, back. Isn't that what religion means? To go back? Mm-hmm. So we're talking about Sankofa. Religion is Sankofa. Sankofa is religion. So if we're going to go back, let's go back in truth and stop pretending. Let's stop playing with this thing called religion and let's make it a real working tool on our behalf so we can get something done and we can build a true kingdom. Because I think it's foolish for us to walk around calling ourselves gods and goddesses, as I always say, kings and queens, and we don't have a kingdom to rule. Black people don't own one store on the block. White people, red people, yellow people, brown people. They make millions off of us. So if we got millions to spend, why are we putting millions in other people's pockets and not putting it in our own pocket? Because again, we have a dead tool. Your religion is your tool. We have a dead tool, a dead logic. So therefore the tool cannot work. That's the problem we're facing in America. We have to change our belief system. Let's go to our next clip. Let's take a look at Jeremiah, chapter 6, verse 16. Brother Sekou.
Thus says Yahweh, stand by the roads and look, and ask for the ancient paths.
Yes, sir.
Where the good way is, and walk in it and find rest for your souls. But they said we would not walk in it.
Y'all know Jeremiah was prophesying about the day. We talked about these roads last week. If you look at some translations, it would say the ancient path, or someone would say the crossroads right here. Crossroads are what? A four-way section, right? Not just two, but a four-way, meaning you come to a place where it's right, left, and front end and back of you, there are roads. Now, the first thing the Creator says, stand by those roads. Go to those places that we don't want to go. And ask for the ancient path, Sankofa. Ask for your ancient religion. See, we keep talking about Africa, but we really don't want to go back in our minds, our logic to Africa. The Creator said, where the good way is. All we see is evil and bad in our belief. All we see is corruption in our belief. All we see is tribalism. All we see is what? Primitive. Primitive people were more far advanced than we are today. Look at the writings of the Dogon. A very primitive people. Don't you know that there are top European mathematicians and scientists still going to Africa, West Africa, and going into those caves and looking at the Dogon's writings and trying to break the codes of those writings, trying to figure out how they are primitive people before any modern equipment and technology had drew all the alignment of the stars in the heavens, the movement and the rotation of the planets. Now, if you go to West Africa, just like in America, you can't stand here and see all of that. Not with the naked eye. But the Dogon did it. Because in their religious practices, they were able to do what your Bible, your Quran, and your Torah call miraculous things. Which I have always taught miraculous things are not miracles for us. It was miracles to them. They were natural things going on for us. We did it when it needed to be done. So the white man wanted your power. So he took you away from your religion, and he took your religion and replaced it with his own. Because the things you are afraid of today, he's practicing.
Yep. Right.
I research this stuff all the time. White people are indulging in African so-called spirituality and African so-called magic and African so-called religion. They are indulging themselves. They're taking journeys to the motherland. They're staying over there amongst the tribes, studying, researching, recording. Then they're coming back to America and they're doing their research, and then they're standing there and they're teaching themselves. See, what you don't know, brothers and sisters, if you don't know, let me tell you. White people got private classes going on that you can't come to. They have private, closed seminars. Research it. They get together privately to make sure they teach their own what your ancestors knew. But they teach you to be fearful of it. Be afraid of it. You know, I've over the years heard a lot of people say, I don't want nothing that's African or that black stuff.
Right. That's what they say.
Your religion is a tool. This is a tool. Is it not? This tool gets you all types of information. You can talk to people with this tool. This is how powerful this tool is, that if they take this tool away from you today, they say over half of the population would be depressed, have anxiety. They did this in university and schools, and children had all types of mental issues. Because the tool was valuable. How much more valuable is your religion? You see why we're mad now? He took our logic. He took our working tool. So now we suffer with what? Depression and anxiety and anger and hostility. The only problem is we take all this out on one another. That's the problem. All right? And here's the biggest issue. I know Jeremiah is talking about us today because every time you talk about the ancient past, the ancient religion, Sankofa, Negroes talk about it. We ain't going there. We will not walk in it. Let's go to our next clip. Let's go to number 9 here. Let's look at the Maranatha, page 14.
As religion concerns itself with the inner realm of being, its main vehicle is the phenomenon of trance. It gives one full acquaintance with the metaphysical realm.
As above, so below. Your religion is supposed to connect you to higher realms. We're not supposed to come here, listen to Dr. Jackson or any other minister, take some notes, clap your hands, sing a hymn, sing a song, do a prayer. Your religion is supposed to take you to a higher realm. Wow, what's in those higher realms? Let me break something down. Religion concerns itself with the inner realm of being. Its main vehicle. We're going to step on this word for a second. Is the phenomena of trance. What's the vehicle? You're the vehicle. You are the temple, the body, the vehicle of God. Everything you work got to be worked through you. We want a docile religion where we just sit. Everybody talks about Christian, but all religions today, basically, black religions, are doing what Christians do. What is that? Waiting on the Lord. You're sitting there waiting for something to happen. When there's some type of work that's supposed to be done. The ancestors went into a trance back then. They went into trances today when we talk what? Getting happy, getting in the spirit, getting the Holy Ghost. Same thing, it was a trance. And when they went into that trance, they came out prophesying about something, warning us about something. Listen carefully. Or manifesting something. Those are the 3 things they did when they entered into these trances. It gives one what? Full acquaintance. Acquaintance means knowledge or understanding of something with the metaphysical realm. White folks are studying ancient Kemetic, Nubian, Kushite, Dogon, Moors, all the way from North Africa to South Africa. They're studying your spirituality because your spirituality connects you to something higher than yourself. Because we didn't come here just on the earth. We came from a higher realm. That's why we always said we got to what? Go back to that higher realm. But while we on earth, as above, so below, we can actually walk between the 2 realms through our religious belief, through our religious practices, through our religious rites and rituals, if, brothers and sisters, we understand or understood how these things work, then we wouldn't fear them. Let me tell you what I love to watch. I love to watch horror movies. I love to watch science fiction. I love to watch thrillers, and I love to watch mysteries. You know why I love to watch all these movies, these 4 categories? Because in all these 4 categories, Hollywood is writing in scripture. They're writing in culture. They're writing in the things you say you believe in and talk about. If you know it, when you sit down and watch these movies, they're bouncing right before your eyes. They may have distorted them in a sense, but they're giving them to you. And we miss it all the time. And they are always making the movie the one who has the logic to understand these deep spiritual or scientific mysteries are Caucasian.
Yeah.
They always can break the code and understand the hidden meaning behind it and blah, blah, blah. But it belongs to you and I. And we fear it. How a black person fear their blackness? Doesn't make any sense. Let's go to number 10. Read this for us, please, Brother Sekou.
Metaphysical. Apart from ordinary or practical modes of thought, thinking, realm, kingdom, world, sphere of activity for action on work.
In the Meta-Nature, the writer has said what is written in the Torah, Bible, Quran, the Codes of Hammurabi, and many other of our spiritual writings, that you are here, but you're supposed to connect to the higher or the metaphysical realm. Metaphysical means apart from your ordinary thinking. See, the reason we are afraid of our religion and the reason that tool can't work, we are afraid to go beyond what we already know, or think we know. Isn't that right? Because we think we know a whole lot, we really don't know anything. A realm is a kingdom, a world, or a what? Sphere of activity, meaning some action or work that is beyond the natural world. You got to go where your ancestors really are. I told you white man show you everything, right? Hollywood, Panther, Black Panther. Mm-hmm. Y'all saw the movie, right? Yes. We pouring libation, we talking to the ancestors. And I've been telling people this for years. And then Black Panther came out and they showed the brother. They buried him in the sand, the brother that played T'Challa. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden he appeared before his father and the elders. You're not supposed to just pour water to them and say this or say that and sit there. We're supposed to have face-to-face communication. Metaphysical realm. See, we really don't want to go those places anymore because we're not made like our ancestors. Our ancestors were some highly spiritual divine beings. Every year we debase ourselves. We become lower and lower and lower on the physical, where the above is no longer below and the below can no longer get above. We're still waiting to die to go to Jesus. When Yahshua told you kingdom was in you, the kingdom of heaven was in you. Meaning what you seek above is on the inside of that vehicle. Now go into that trance and get there and understand it. That's what we fear. Let's move on. See, this ain't no Holy Ghost message here. This is just a message of knowledge. Let's read this, Brother Sekou.
Numbers 24:4. He hath said, which heard the words of Yahweh, which saw the vision of the Almighty,
yes, sir,
falling into a trance by having his eyes open.
All right.
Acts 11:4-18. But Peter began speaking and proceeded to explain to them in orderly sequence, saying, I was in the city of Joppa praying, and in a trance I saw a vision. Acts 22:17. It happened when I returned to Jerusalem and was praying in the temple that I fell into a trance.
All right, hallelujah. Balaam the prophet, Peter the apostle, disciple, and Paul the apostle. Old Testament from the New Testament. And you'll find this all throughout the Testaments. These brothers and sisters were going into trances. The very thing that the white man taught you today to be afraid of is in your Bible. The very thing he taught you to be afraid of, right there, is in your African culture. Proves these men were black. Because white people did not believe in this. And they will punish any African who was enslaved, who went into a trance or practiced going into this type of, as they say, foolery. They will whip them and punish them for it. We've always used the metaphysical as a tool to get closer to the God and the ancestors, so that when we came back, we would know how to use this religion, this tool, to further advance ourselves as a people. This is why the man had to beat it out of us. That was a powerful tool. He feared the Nation of Islam. Why? Fear him today. Why? Because those brothers are walking in their what? Religion. And he can't do anything with them because they're in their religion and not in his religion. That's why the Nation of Islam is the strongest black organization in America, spiritually and religiously. No one else gets the respect they get, do they? I mean, you say anything you want about them, but who else got a nation within a nation today? No one really. They govern themselves by their religious beliefs. That's a powerful method there, a powerful instrument, a powerful utensil. This is why this man don't want you to connect with yourself. They say that our ancestors built the pyramids by standing around it, and that they levitated the stones in the air. They didn't build it from the ground up, but they built it from the sky down. That's what they said. They levitated those stones. Now the question is, how did they move? Because anybody will tell you today to move those stones with any type of equipment is impossible. Modern or ancient. I remember as a child seeing in books they had the stone on these logs. And they had brothers pulling them, rolling them along, and they realized that no, that's not right. Because the weight of them are too heavy, they would have crushed the logs and sunk into the earth. So how did they do it? Ancient writings say they stood around in a dynamic circle. And in a oneness, they lift the stones into place. Who a Star Trek fan? And one of the movies, somebody help me. They built the big spaceship in outer space. They didn't build it on Earth. It was floating in outer space. And they put it together. I can't remember which episode or movie it was. They're telling you what you did. Just like we built this mega object here in the what? Atmosphere, hovering in nothing. That's how you built the pyramids. That's why no one can duplicate it. So when you get back to your religion, that tool is so powerful. It goes beyond anything you can think naturally. So once we get out of the natural man and woman and allow the spiritual man and woman to work, because it's the natural that holds up the spiritual thinking, because we see everything naturally. And when you see everything naturally, what is spiritual, we'll always look wrong. I'm going to show you in a minute. Let's go to number 12. Brother Sekou, page 18 of the Meta.
The religions of the black nations were well acquainted with the dualization, the knowledge of good and evil, of the spirit, and made its unification the foundation of their spiritual tradition.
Your religion is based on as above, so below. Your religion is based on metaphysical things beyond the natural thought. And the third thing, your religion. Look at what we're saying in the Meta. The religions of the black nations, not a black nation, but all of Africa, were what? Acquainted with the dualization of the knowledge of good and evil. There's a duality there. See, I'm warning you about trying to be righteous, holy, spiritual, and religious, and trying to walk either in all good, thinking you're going to dispense all bad. It's not going to happen. There's a duality to this thing. And we have to know how to work that tool. Y'all with me?
Yes.
We have to know how to unify the foundation of the spiritual tradition. This is your tradition. See, the white man got you all good. That's why we can never fight back. He got you all good to him, which is why you can't be good enough to stand with yourself and understand that it's evil to stand with him. See, it's bad to have a black congregation. It's good to sit amongst white folks. The reality is, it's evil to sit with them. And it's good to sit amongst yourselves. We got to get a deep spiritual understanding of this duality here. Now, this is the key. You got to have the knowledge of good and evil. Preacher, why would you say that? Because you have two natures in you. You have Het and Heru. And Het and Heru got to be balanced. Sometimes Heru has to come forward. Then there are times he stepped back and Set has to take place. Read your Bible. I'm going to trip a lot of people up right here. The devil did some good in the Bible. Let's go to 13. What did he just say? Who created the devil?
God.
Is not God all wise and all knowing? Yes. And he created the devil for what? He said, I do nothing, tohu wabohu, meaning void and empty. Meaning everything I created has a purpose. He created Satan for a purpose. Remember when Yahshua was sitting at the table with Judas? If you read the story, what he tells Judas? Go do what you must do. In other words, he knew Judas was going to do it. And then he said to his disciples, it had to be done. Judas had a purpose. Because I had a prophecy to fulfill. Judas had a role. We call Judas the traitor. No, Judas was doing what Judas was supposed to do. This is what we have to understand. Let's read Genesis 2:9, Brother Sekou.
And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food.
Yes, sir.
The tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Who made that tree grow?
The Lord.
Lord, Yahweh God, right? Meaning he created or he planted it, as they say. God planted that tree. That is what? Pleasant. That means beautiful. To the eye. Meaning there's nothing about it evil to look upon. And good for what?
Food.
Come on now, y'all with me? It's beautiful to the eye. It's good for food. God made it to grow out the ground. The tree of life also in the midst of the garden. And the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is also good for food and beautiful to the eye. See, that's the metaphysical understanding. As above, so below. Once you understand how to work this religious tool, stay with me. I don't want to scare you too much. You're no longer good or evil. Once you understand how to work this religious tool, you are no longer good or evil. You then become what we call godly. We use the term, but we're not godly. What do I mean by godly? Like God. So what are you saying? In Isaiah, God said, I created what? Good and evil. I created light and darkness. Therefore, if God created good and evil, light and darkness, God is neither good nor evil, but the creator of the two. So when you become godly and become like God, you are neither good nor evil, but the user of the two. See, this is the stuff we don't want to understand. Because it takes you out of your normal way of thinking.
Right.
And then you begin to understand how you can do things that you've been taught you're not supposed to do. Go to number 14 before I get in trouble. Metanetta, page 20 and 21.
Religious doctrines and systems cannot be understood in a vacuum.
That's right.
The white nations who became heirs, rulers of these civilizations, the black nations, understood only the external aspects and distorted the spiritual.
There it is. He told you that this spirituality before belonged to what? The black nations. That's why I put this here. Black nations. They became the heirs, which means the rulers of all the civilizations of the black nations. But look Religious doctrines and systems cannot be understood in a vacuum. See, we want an elementary style religion. We want a religion we can understand our way, accept the way we want to accept it, and walk in it the way we want to walk in it. But in truth, when you come into the spirituality of God, the doctrine of God, the teachings of God, and the practices of God, you walk in darkness. Isn't that right? Where does the light come from? The darkness. So if the light comes from the darkness, if the light is the truth and you want the higher truth, then you got to go where that truth originated from, back into the darkness. We don't want that darkness. We're scared of the dark. Who in here scared of the dark? May not be physically. Spiritually, someone is scared of the dark. The white nations took your religion, became heirs of your civilizations, meaning your practices and your beliefs. But there was a problem. They became the rulers of it, but they did not what? Understand their external aspects and distorted the spiritual. So Heka, voodoo, going in a trance, getting happy, doing your rites, doing your rituals, doing your initiations, they didn't understand it. So when you don't understand a thing, what do? You demonize it. Isn't that what he did to the black man, black woman? Mm-hmm. He didn't understand us, so what did he do? He demonized us. How did they demonize us? Well, the pale Jews went in with the Greeks, and they distorted the Bible, and they came up with a curse called the curse of Ham. The curse of Ham. And they said Ham sodomized his drunk father Noah, uncovered his drunk father Noah, or did something else to his drunk father Noah. And Noah woke up and Noah said, because you did this, you'll now be the servants to your brothers and your sisters, and your skin shall be black. Now, y'all know it's not in the Bible, right? And it is a historical lie. You can Google it now. I told you, use the instrument. All right? It's right there. It's a powerful instrument if you use it correctly. But they would tell you when the white man distorted. They would tell you certain aspects of the Bible that they took out, rewrote, took books out. The man is so dumb, he don't even know how to lose the book. He take the book out, then put it in another collection called Lost Books of the Bible. This is the type of man, we're dealing with a distorted man, which is why he distorted our spirituality. And if we're not careful in our spirituality, he will distort us.
Yes.
Which is what he's doing. I grew up back in the day when I was a child. We had a few people running around the country called root workers. They were healers. Black folks didn't go to the doctors for many reasons. Most black folks back in the day when I was growing up didn't trust white folks, which was the majority of your doctors and physicians. The other reason we didn't go to doctors because we didn't have the insurance or the money. So we had to rely on those spiritual workers who knew what to do. Isn't that right? Some of us may, I know y'all young folk, but some of us may remember those days. And they were called healers, but most of the time they were called root workers because they used the roots from the earth to heal you. They didn't have no formal education. They didn't have any training. They didn't have books. Most of them back then couldn't even read properly. They were illiterate. So where did they get this knowledge from? As above, so below. They knew the power of their religious tool and they connected with the God. This is what you call divine knowledge or divine insight. We don't believe it anymore because everything's spooky to us now. If you can't see it and touch it, it's spooky, right? We're not connected to the spirit anymore. And that's the reason we're being destroyed. This devil, this elementary style being, distorted our spirituality, and today he still doesn't understand anything about our ancestry. He's still studying. He's still practicing. Look it up. Read anything. You'll find out they're still going through the process. Every year they make what? New discoveries. You can read one thing from North Africa to South Africa to East Africa to West Africa. You can read one writing where it says the ancients discovered this and discovered that. When you read our history, things always been. We weren't discovering anything. There was no new idea popping up in our research. Everything had always been. Because we were one with God, and God has always what? Been. Because God is. So we are people who are supposed to exist is. Not past, present, future. Black people just is. That's how we're supposed to be. But we're not there. Let's go to our next one. All right, bring up just a look. Let's look at this. Now here's the thing about this duality. In the Masonic Lodge, you have a black and white checkerboard floor. You can trace this checkerboard floor back to ancient Kemet. All right? The Chinese made it the yin-yang symbol. All right? Which means heaven and earth, the physical and the spiritual, good and evil, negative and positive. In the ancient Kemetic, as they say, mystery school, because it wasn't a mystery to us, white people call it the ancient Kemetic mystery system. It was our spiritual system. What they taught and what Masons are carrying on today is that in life, you have to walk between duality, good and evil. But somebody didn't catch it. I say you had to walk between it because you're neither good nor evil when you're really in your righteous nature. That's what the yin yang represents. There's evil and good. There's good and evil. Where are you? You are between the two. In other words, as they teach, good and evil. Where are you? You're right there. You're the and. That's who you are. You're the and in duality. Meaning you link the two together. In your worship, in your prayer, in your spiritual belief. Almighty Yahweh, watch. I'm going to do some duality here. Thank you for my people. Bless them. Bless the missing children. Bless my brothers and sisters who are struggling. Bless my family, my wife and I in our home. And Father Yahweh, give me the blood of my enemies. Crush those who have victimized my ancestors. Let them die the death 10,000 times. In your divine name, Ashe, hallelujah, amen. You heard the duality of that prayer?
Yes, sir.
Most people will not teach you to pray like that because they said that was an evil prayer. You got to pray a good prayer. I just prayed a good prayer, but I balanced it with evil.
Yes, sir.
That's using the duality. You got to know how to use this vehicle, the human body, physically, mentally, spiritually, to elevate yourself above the hell that you're suffering. Africa was a beautiful place, all over the planet, until we got dumbed down. And now we want to remain what? Dumbed down. Let's go to our last clip. In the Bible, still on this duality, there are two stones. Look them up. Urim and called Thummim, or Tumim. Some say Tumim, but Thummim. Urim means lights. The oracle of brilliancy of figures in the high priest's breastplate. Thummim or Tumim is the perfections. That is one of the epithets of the objects in the high priest's breastplate. Now, both of these things were in the stones of the high priest's breastplate. But let me tell you something else about them you're going to find in Scripture. They also use these stones for divination. They would take these stones and shake them. Listen to me. And they would cast them. And they would divine by it. Foretell the future, predict, manifest. Y'all wondering why brothers came over here throwing dice. And the dice are white with black dots. Duality. See, it was always in us. And those of us who didn't have the stones, we used bones. Those who didn't have bones used cowrie shells. Are y'all with me? In other words, we understood the duality, and it took the duality in the metaphysical to give us divine messages how to move in our daily life, move in our future. So dice is not an evil thing. We're still trying to predict. We're just not doing it on a spiritual level. Brothers shake them the same way they shook these two stones. And they would Divine. Divine means to have a divine revelation, interpretation, or a vision. What do you think brothers doing when they roll dice? Give me a lucky number what? I never rolled dice, brother. What's the number? 7. I've never been a gambler. So I don't know, seriously. I just never been a gambler because I used to hate losing money. I can't play cards.
Number 1 was losing.
Number 1, okay, but they predict the numbers, right?
1 and a 3. 1 and a 3.
1 and a 3. We got something. Gambling brother up here. All right, ain't nothing wrong with that, brother. Y'all might have to educate me one day.
1 and a 3.
But these 2 stones, you'll read, you can study them, you can read about them in the Bible, you'll find that they're on the priest's breastplate, you'll find that the prophets, righteous men use them, and you'll hear them, you'll read it and it said they cast the stones, or cast the Urim and Thummim. They cast them, mean they rolled them.
Yes, sir.
That's what it means. Brothers and sisters, we were filled with what the European call magic. I said call magic, which was our spirituality. But now you feel your magic. Because he told you your magic was black magic. See, everything black is evil. But he was practicing white magic. Isn't that right? Like he made your lie black lie. You're supposed to lie to him. You're not supposed to tell the devil the truth. When I was on the job and they asked me, where you been? I made up a lie. I was doing something else. I didn't tell them I was resting. In another place reading. See, we don't know how to function between good and evil. Me too, Baba Musa. But here's the understanding, brothers and sisters. Your religion is what? Your tool. And a tool is something you work with. And you work with a tool to get what? A job done, or to fix something, or to build something. Being that we have a dead religion, we can't get the job done, we can't fix what's wrong with our life, in our life, and we can't build anything. Because we're walking in the wrong religion. We have to get back into our own spiritual belief, stop being afraid of ourselves, stop being afraid of our ancestors, our culture, our tradition, our heritage, and most of all, stop being afraid of our God. Get rid of that cracker.
Yes, sir.
Really get rid of them. Don't just say you have a black God, but believe in that black God and that black goddess and practice the principles of that black God and that black goddess. Heru Set. Asa Aset. Heru. I meant to say Nub and Gad. Heru and Heru. All of them had a what? They had a companion with them. See, they chopped your God up. They took away your divine feminine energy, and all they give you is masculine energy. Then we wondering why the women messed up. The women, you're not supposed to walk in the God energy. You're supposed to walk in the goddess energy.
That's right.
Men supposed to walk in the God energy and not in the goddess energy. See, now let me take you back for those who know, and raise your hand if I'm not telling a lie. Back in the day, when people really got in the spirit, 99.9% of the time, it was a woman.
That's right.
Back in the day when someone stood up and prophesied, 99.9% of the time, it was a woman.
Every time. Yes, sir.
Back in the day when a revelation was told, 99.9% of the time, it was a woman. And when work needed to be done in the community, they sent out some missionaries, which were women. Everything was done through that divine feminine energy. We can't connect anymore because we're only walking half a being and not a whole being. We have to get back into our spirituality, get back into our traditional religious belief in our practices. And brothers, then when we roll those dice, them bones, them stones, them rocks, those cubes, because they're not evil. I don't care what no preacher said, let them listen to it. They're not evil. You just got to use them righteously and build a future for yourself. That's what we need to do. Ashe. All praises be to the Most High. Brothers and sisters, use your tool, your religious belief. Get into your practice, get into your worship, and let's get something done. We thank the Most High for this day. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for listening. And at this point in time, We're going to turn it over to Queen Hassana